Hey, Bigpod.
What?
Just to let you know, I did in fact make it to record an episode this week.
Nice.
Yes, heaven forbid, that was one heck of a doozy of a special mission.
Yes.
Let's record a show. Start the music.
Josh, it's cue the music.
Start the music. Hey guys, welcome to No Tux Loud. I am your host, Josh, and with me today, I have the guest, Bigpod.
Hello.
Even though I think you're more closer to a primary host than I am at this point. But that's fine. We are going to be super professional today, Bigpod. Just letting you know.
Okay.
Because, we're going to have opinions about text editors.
Oh, great.
And how Notepad++ is totally the best one that's not available on any operating system I use.
Yeah.
Heaven forbid, my Notepad++ got an update from, not Notepad++.
Huh.
But apparently it did. Who knows? So anyways, yeah, Notepad++ got a security issue. In fact, I think but it's not Notepad++'s fault. This actually came in through the distribution servers for the software itself. And they're claiming that was done by state-sponsored hackers, and there's some actual facts that might actually suggest that, because it was an issue. So, Bigpod, I'm sure you've read a little bit about the statement made by the Notepad++ developer, which
Very
goes
little.
by, yeah, he goes by the name of Don Ho, by the way. In the event you didn't know.
Nope.
He's basically the guy behind the project. But
Yeah.
he got a notification from the hosting provider for like their update servers and their distribution network for package updates, saying that, hey, we were just casually checking our logs, and we saw some concerning things here. And we discovered that our hosting server was in fact compromised on the 2nd of December in 2025, leading all the way up until about a couple days ago. But based on their logs, they saw no other clients in particular using this server, and after concluding the research, they've determined that they already determined a fix and everything for it. It was really just an issue with keys not rotating properly. So it was a compromised key it was a compromised verification key for the package update server. And apparently what the attacker did was set up like a piece of malware that ran as a service on that server that would check so that when your Notepad++ client was queuing to check for an update, it would intercept that. And it would geolocate you to figure out where you're coming from. And depending on where you're coming from, it might just connect you to the proper update source. Or, if you're on their whitelist, they will send you to theirs. Where then your Notepad++ will then update to a compromised version.
Yeah. I could guess that.
Yeah. Now, the whole core of this issue is that your update client for Notepad++ is not running any kind of verification to make sure that it's connecting and downloading the file from the proper place.
Yeah.
That's already going to be fixed in the next feature update for Notepad++.
Great.
That's already going to happen.
Great.
But I have a question for you, Bigpod.
Yeah.
Notepad++ is an open source project. It's very
Yes.
it's very widely used and very prevalent in the developer community. And the idea of open source software is that it's out, the code is out there, it's available, and anybody can see it, anybody can fix issues with it.
Yeah.
Why is it that in the world of, bug bounty security scan bots running rampant all over the internet, nobody found that issue?
First of all, this was a supply chain attack. It attacked a vulnerable part of the supply chain. But realistically, let's be honest, there probably were reports of certain things. But at the end of the day, the most realistic thing is nobody really looks at most of these open source projects. Once again, we're going back to Heartbleed, Log4j, exeutils, the three very impactful hacks inside or vulnerabilities inside supply chain security world. And the idea that people think that open source makes software secure because somebody is looking at it is false sense of security. And actually it is bad as a notion, and people should just stop.
Stop with the automatic assumption that their software is secure.
Because it's open source. Yes.
Yep. Seems like a pretty good idea. That
Yeah.
said, we're not asking you to learn how to program and be able to audit the code yourself and be able to fix it. That's just impractical. But there are
Understand what you're doing when you're
Yeah.
downloading software.
Yeah.
And I like to say this: if you are not versed in reading many languages, and you install software that you didn't read through, it is from that perspective equally as secure and basically proprietary software to you.
pretty much.
And you should look at it at any kind of piece of proprietary software, even though it has sources available, it is still to you completely proprietary. You have no idea what is happening in the source code, so you should trust it as much as you trust any other source code that is not open, because it is at exactly the same state to you as that proprietary piece of code.
Yeah, so for some very general tips is, if you're wanting to download a piece of software, even if it's open source, or even if it's proprietary, just first of all make sure you check where you're downloading it from.
Yes.
That's the easiest way. If you go to download.com or some website that just serves infinite files for you to download, probably don't download it from there.
Yeah.
Instead,
Download from first-party sources.
Yeah.
That's the most likely it's gonna be secure, but it's not 100% because, again, supply chain attacks.
yeah, supply chain attacks, and probably the biggest change that we've had in mitigating a majority of the supply chain attacks we used to deal with is make sure that you have an HTTPS connection.
Yes.
Most web browsers will actually present a little lock icon up in the address bar.
Yeah.
That just make sure that lock is there, and if it's got like a cross in it or anything like that, probably treat that
Something is
website with a grain of
problematic.
salt, because that lock ensures that you're on a secure connection, and
But
if you're not,
that doesn't actually increase safety of your connection. It increases the likelihood that connection is to actually the location you think you are on,
yeah,
but not necessarily.
it's not always true, but most of the time it's going to be okay.
Let's say like this: that if it is HTTPS, the connection between you and the server is secure. That's only thing that thing tells you, and
Yep.
potentially that you are actually on the place that the page is that the bar is telling you are at. That's all it is, nothing
Yeah,
else.
there was, and it's verified by a third-party server, God knows who where.
Yeah.
And of course, also practice proper password hygiene.
Yes.
Maybe actually set up a password manager and use that. A really easy one that Bigpod and I both use and highly recommend is Bitwarden, because
Yeah.
it's free and it's available everywhere, and you don't have to pay for it if you don't want to.
Yeah.
And of course, if you're super paranoid, you can even self-host it. But I never recommend that you self-host your password manager, because heaven forbid backups get destroyed.
Yeah. Now the third tip I'm gonna give you, and this one might be the most scary one. Your distributions package manager is not secure.
That's true.
They can equally get hit by a supply chain attack or a rogue insider, especially for completely voluntary projects like Arch. A rogue insider, or where they don't practice a proper hygiene in regards to where packages are built, even just a virus on the computer that is targeting them could make the package be malicious without them knowing.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, do not, like, you need to make sure what thing you're getting, how you're getting, and especially this goes to any kind of user repositories like AUR, like PPAs, like copper repos. You do not know, if you do not read the sources, you do not know what's happening.
Yeah.
And there are some very easy exploits that basically any packager could give you that would absolutely ruin your system.
Yeah, you got to remember, when you're apt installing something, you're literally running apt as root, and apt is using just what is effectively a script to do a bunch of series of commands.
Not exactly.
Not exactly, but at a very topmost level explanation, that's basically what it's doing, and it's doing it all as root.
At the top of explanation is it is doing three things. It is running a set of commands pre-install, basically splattering a zip file or a archive onto the file system, and then running scripts afterwards.
Okay,
and
so
that first part and second and third part are the scary ones, because pre-install and post-install you can run anything. Yes. And I mean anything. There is no hygiene there. So you know what 7 characters I would put there if I was malicious and just wanted to cause mischief.
I mean, if you just want to cause mischief,
yeah.
If you just want to run some mischief, you just rmrf /
Exactly. And yes, you can do that.
Yeah, you can totally delete your entire operating system on a free and open source operating system.
And remember,
not necessarily modern day Windows. It's a little bit more difficult. You really still can if you really want to do it.
Yeah.
But you're more likely to break other things before you get to that point. But anyways, just practice a little bit more common sense. Just don't blindly trust anything and everything. Bigpod, we need to move on and talk about one of my favorite massive multi-billion-dollar companies, Intel.
Ooh.
I mean, they're not really my favorite, but people say that I'm an Intel shill because I'm always telling them about how wonderful Arc GPUs are. But hey, according to TechCrunch, Intel is going to make GPUs. Now that's realistically what their article said when I first looked at it. It's just, they're just going to make GPUs. Doesn't say in what context of making GPUs, because the Intel Arc GPUs have existed for a few years at this point. But what the TechCrunch article is really saying is that Intel is going to be making GPUs in their own facilities, because all the Intel
and they're going to be making new GPUs.
Yeah, newer model GPUs, not the existing lines, but the newer ones. So probably the professional GPUs, like your server GPUs, are probably going to be the primary target for these facilities.
Yeah,
because that's probably where the money is. Now, are we going to get the consumer lines out of there? That's not really been discussed, because this was said in a very corporate conference, the Cisco AI Summit. So yeah, that's where it was said. But if Intel can actually produce GPUs in their own fabs, That's actually less of a monopoly that TSMC actually has over the entire industry, which ultimately I think is a good thing. And this is the space
Yeah.
where I want Intel to succeed in, because heaven forbid, things are kind of scary in Taiwan, and have
Yeah.
been, and they're looking scarier.
And not just that. So I've listened to someone explain how these CPUs and GPUs and more importantly RAM building works. So the actual like DDR5 RAM, the actual building of it, not DDR5, HBM, so the memory for graphics card, the high power ones,
Yep.
actually fills up your line for GPUs and CPUs, because the most bottom layer apparently is actually just a standard built on the same line as your GPU CPU chip, and then upper layers are special to RAM building, and same goes for like bits and pieces of your SSD. They are built on all the same lines CPUs and GPUs get out of. So those things, if those things can be parallelized to multiple companies, less chance of a bottleneck happens in Taiwan slash in the large scale semiconductor manufacturing space.
Which means GPUs at MSRP.
Which means at least less of an increase and
Yeah.
more chance that you will actually get them.
Yeah. That said, if you've been curious and you're looking to build a new system and you've been curious about the Intel Arc GPUs, they're good. Just try them out if you haven't tried them. If anything, they're going for way cheaper than the other brands.
Yeah.
But let's take a moment here to talk about like what's going on with Intel in general. People are portraying that Intel is in a very troublesome spot, which they're not in an amazing spot. But
Yeah, but
when
very
you're looking
troublesome.
when you're
so
looking
much.
at like stock discussions and so on,
Yes.
people are talking about how Intel's in trouble. They're losing business. They're losing the CPU game and everything. Intel is still a profitable company.
Yes.
At the end of the day, they're still turning a profit. So
Yes.
they're not really going to like split off and be sold off to China anytime soon.
Yeah.
Mostly because the U.S. government
Well,
invested in there, and the U.S. government's not allowed to sell anything directly to some countries and so on through their own policies. But Intel's going to be around for a while. They're not going to die off anytime because they've got the foundries that AMD doesn't have.
Yeah.
For one thing, and they don't have to rely entirely on TSMC like Nvidia does.
Or if they actually decide at all, they don't have to rely on TSMC.
Yeah. So they have the groundwork to be a successful company. So it's not financial advice, but don't discount Intel.
Yeah.
At least on the long term. Maybe on your short term calls, be a little wary, but don't discount them.
Exactly.
Okay, now Bigpod, here's another topic that I know we both heavily support.
Yeah.
The Stop Killing Games petition
Nice.
has met its threshold very well. And in fact, it actually went above its threshold.
Yeah.
This was posted back on January 25th, so I don't know if the EU Parliament has actually discussed this or not.
Not yet, to my knowledge.
Okay.
It will take a couple of weeks to couple of months for them to actually go through the motions, get it on the docket, and so on.
Yeah. So first of all,
to even consider it, they have to first consider it to go on docket, which based on what I'm hearing, it is very likely to happen due to who supports it internally.
Well, that's a good thing. But anyways, let's roll back time here and discuss what the Stop Killing Games movement is all about. So the guy that runs the petition, he was a big fan of a game called The Crew, which The Crew is a video game that was published by I forget which company. I think it was Ubisoft.
Probably.
Yeah, probably. But anyways, uh, it was published and it's an online-only game, which means that the only way you can play this game is through an online connection.
Yeah.
Well, that game was only online for like 60 days.
Yeah, something like
And then they shut down the service, thus killing the game, which you can still buy on Steam for $40, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, last I checked, you could buy it. Still. You
Wow.
can buy a game that doesn't even operate.
Huh.
Yeah. So,
Interesting.
anyways, this has been a growing issue with all these video games that are advertised as like these live service games. Because, they are games that only operate over an online connection. And when they shut down the servers, you're no longer allowed to play the game. Which makes sense.
Yeah.
And there are more and more games coming out with that mandatory online connection that, functionally don't really seem to require it from like the player's perspective. For example, I can probably name like Elden Ring because there is no co-op play in Elden Ring. In fact, the only online connectivity that you have is for like a little messaging system between players, where they can like post a sign and other people can see it. Why does it need an online connection? You can just disconnect the internet from your console and probably still play the game, but there are some games where you can't do that. Now, this could be because the game's running some kind of telemetry system, or because telemetry is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just when it gets malicious that's a bad thing. But
yeah.
But when they shut down the service for the games, I really do think that they should come up with a way for you to be able to run the game offline, or if it's say an online game because it's a massive multiplayer game, at least provide the server software for people to spin up themselves.
Yeah.
Because there's a reason why people still play a lot of Quake Arena.
Yeah.
And it's because you can run the server yourself.
And that's why you can still probably find people who play all sorts of old Call of Duties like Modern Warfare and things like Call of Duty 2.
Yeah. That said, I believe that the country the country that has the most signatures is Germany.
Yeah.
Yeah, with 233,000 signatures that have been verified. But Bigpod, there were 6,500 signatures that were verified in Slovenia. So you're not that far behind.
Yeah. I am one of them.
Yeah. So, we've got that coming on, and I'm gonna keep watching that because
yeah,
I would love the EU to make this change. And hopefully I can get whatever EU updates that those video games are coming out with, at least here in North America, because it's just going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah, so before we continue, remember, this has, vast majority of the actual signatures was verified to be actually correct. That is huge. People were talking about 30%, 50% being problematic. No, it is a little bit more than 11%. That to me is freaking amazing.
Yeah, that is good. And I can honestly thank that the content creators like ourselves, where we specifically said that, hey, if you're in the EU, you can sign this petition, but if you're not in the EU, don't sign the petition.
Yeah.
So, I think that the content creators have really done this petition very well, because as far as I know, it didn't really get that many that talk in in the more professional media scene.
Yeah.
And there was a mention of it, but it was very brief that I saw. But speaking of video games, it is time to initiate Valve Watch.
Yeah.
Because we got some news with all but admittance that the Steam machine is going to get delayed.
Yeah. Well,
not
basically they said it is gonna get delayed by at least the part of the year was switched to be larger, which essentially is a delay.
So
because they went from first quarter to first half.
big change.
Yes.
Big change. We're not going to get the Steam Machine by April. I'm sorry, we're not going to get it quarter one. So this is in response to, of course, chip shortages because we've
Yes,
discussed
RAM
this before.
shortage.
You're probably well aware. Nobody can get memory at a reasonable price, and
Yep.
it's starting to affect everything else in the computer hardware space. Storage drives are getting affected. Not necessarily hard drives, but definitely solid state drives.
Yeah.
And of course, GPUs have always been in short supply, basically ever since people discovered that cryptocurrency exists. So, there, so it's not reasonable to really produce. They're saying that they just want to see if it's possible for them to get stuff in to actually
Yeah.
put the units together. Which if
They
they don't have
probably will, but
Yeah.
it just will take them a bit longer to get the enough stock for them to start selling. That's my guess is that they just don't have enough stock of the systems yet to start selling, and it would be my bet that the only things missing are RAM for your CPU and GPU.
That is to say, it's entirely possible that they do have Steam machines that are fully built, fully assembled, and it on a shelf somewhere in a warehouse.
Yes,
That's entirely
probably.
possible that they have enough to release a Wave 1 at this point. It's
Maybe.
Wave 2, Wave 3 that's the concern.
Yeah, you want at least for first few
Yeah.
waves have the same pricing.
Because if they only produce like a first round of product supplies, and they all immediately just sell out, that's basically the same thing as like a paper launch.
Yep.
That you've seen out of companies the size of Valve. Now if Valve was a small indie company and they sold all their consoles day one, that would make big news saying that hey, we're popular.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily space that like a company the size of Valve wants to be in.
Yep.
They want to be able to make sure that if you want a Steam machine, you can go buy it.
Yeah.
That's really it.
So Josh, what has your opinion of what will you buy everything changed since the day of the announcement?
I mean, I still have a bank account with enough money to buy a Steam machine for less than $1,000. So,
But remember, you said when the day it was announced, when we were recording the show, that you will buy everything.
I mean, that is still the ultimate goal. I just might not buy everything at once, depending on the price, of course.
Okay.
That said, I am still committed to eventually owning every single product that Valve has ever, hardware product Valve has ever released. Just saying.
Yeah.
I already bought my Index. It's sitting in a box in the storage room because I don't have enough space for a VR setup.
Really? Didn't know that.
Yeah, I've had an Index for a while. The problem is this room is not very big.
Okay. So, on other hand, I remember that I said that I'm gonna buy Steam machine, which is still the plan, but it will depend on the price. I am still firmly, even though with today's memory pricing, I'm still firmly in the €700 mark.
I'm still in that mark myself too. I would like to see it lower because
That
people
won't
are
happen.
It's not going to happen, but I would like to see it happen. But honestly, if you really want to get the Steam machine and you're just getting really impatient about it, it's an x86 computer.
Yes.
And it's
With
just using an AMD CPU with the built-in graphics. So build one yourself.
Actually, no. It's actually not a built-in graphics.
Or that's right. It is a dedicated GPU.
Yep.
But the AMD the onboard graphics for the AMD chips, they're not bad. They're not as
Also
good
true.
as they're not as good as like a dedicated GPU, but you can still play like 90% of your games.
Some of the games, yes.
Yeah, Lighted, you're probably not gonna be running Cyberpunk on it, but you can definitely run like older
Yeah.
and smaller titles, which is what majority of the people play anyway.
Yeah. And remember, like, this is to go under your this is supposed to go under your TV.
That's
You're
true.
not gonna be playing some AAA game. Who does that?
You'd be
Besides
surprised.
people with consoles.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. And even then, a lot of those AAA games, you could just turn the graphic settings down and be able to have something
Yes.
playable.
Yes.
And
So
the XeSS technology and whatever technology name that NVIDIA has for like their scaling stuff. That does exist, and a lot of times you're probably running that anyway when you don't even
Yeah.
realize it. So, honestly, I'm probably still excited about the Steam Machine.
me too.
Yeah. So, Bigpod, say if somebody wants to shout at us, how do they do that?
They can send us an email at contact@tuxbase.com.
But what if they're too new and modern to talk to us over
Then
email?
they can go in their browser to tuxbase.com/discord, at which point they'll be prompted to go into their Discord client and join our server.
Oh, that's true. And people talk in there.
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. But the more people that get in there, the more active it's going to be. So, yeah. Anyways, also, if you would like to support the show, you can go to patreon.com/notuxallowed.
Yeah.
That way, you can hop in there, give us a couple dollars. We don't really have a monetary value set. I think it's like a minimum $2 on Patreon, which if you sign up on that tier, we're going to give you your own special sauce RSS feed for the podcast.
Yeah.
And that presents you with higher bitrate audio quality because there's 2.5 people in the world that care about that. And you will also that same feed will also have access to bonus content as well as pre and post shows, or one of these days Bigpod might actually record something and just toss it in there with like his own personal thoughts, or I might do that myself.
When I have time.
Yep. Time permitting, which one way to verify that we all have time permitting is if that Patreon revenue gets so high that we don't have to work a professional job.
Yes. That would have been great.
Yes, but we've both accepted that that's going to take a while.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, I guess we have to work a little bit harder or something.
Yeah.
We also have our own YouTube channels. YouTube.com/@TinleyJ for myself and @Bigpod for Bigpod. Now, of course, I was going to be posting videos, and then I had to go on secret secret special mission, of which I'm not going to go into context about because
It is secret for a reason.
it is secret for a reason, and it could get me in a lot of trouble if
also
I talked
special
about it.
for a reason. That's why. That's why it's secret and special.
Yeah, it's secret and special. So, anyways, Bigpod, we are also on our preferred social media service, Mastodon, where we could talk with everybody in the Federated Universe.
Yeah.
We have links for that in the description. That is our user IDs. If you're on Mastodon, you know exactly what that is. If not, well, technically, I do have a Twitter account, but I don't really go to it anymore. Same thing with like Facebook services or Reddit or anything like that. I think we do have a No Text Allowed subreddit, but I don't ever see anybody post on there.
Oh yeah, we do.
Yeah. We made one like forever ago. That way, we could just have it and nobody else has it.
And No Text Allowed has its own Twitter account.
That's true. We have that too. That way, nobody else could take it from us.
Exactly.
We're playing it safe there. But anyways, that's it for today's episode of Bigpod. I'm going to get out because, I got some cats to pet. I got to put this big pile of books here beside me away, and I got some other various house chores to get to.
Yeah,
I'll see you next
I
week.
have to get to editing. Goodbye.
Goodbye.